Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, BC, and to record that history, CBC Sports. Jeff Bacon won his first title on 10-meter at the Summer Nationals. Can he defend? Bill Hayes has given up on tower and will concentrate on 3-meter. Pointe Claire's David Bedard has won 23 national titles since 1983. Mary DiPiero, who's won 10 titles, is on the comeback trail following knee problems. Anne Mominy is the world junior champion on the tower and will defend her title in this event. Annie Pelche has won national titles on both the 1 and 3-meter boards. BC's Paige Gordon is now ranked 4th in the world on 3-meter. This is the pool on the campus at Laval University, site for the 1994 Titrex Canadian Winter Diving Championship. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another year of diving coverage on CBC television. I'm Steve Armitage, and working with me, as usual, the former Olympian Janet Nutter. This is a year of great promise and perhaps even higher expectations for Canadian divers.
That's correct, Steve. We have 2 women who are ranked in the top 4 in the world right now, Paige Gordon and Anne Mominy. And with the Commonwealth Games not that far off, I expect to see some pretty exciting competition here. Annie Pelche is diving very well. She has 3 new dives in her list and is looking very consistent. Mary DiPiero is back diving with no injuries, and that's the first time this has happened in a little while, so her diving should be right on.
It's a little different for the men, however. Mark Rourke has retired. Bill Hayes is no longer diving tower. He will concentrate only on 3-meter. But old reliable David Bedard of Pointe Claire is back.
And David is looking for gold at the Commonwealth Games this summer, and his goal is starting right here with a strong performance. But he'll have good competition from Lee J. Streifler and Bill Hayes. Now, in the men's 10-meter competition, it's a totally different situation. Jeff Bacon is back to try to keep his title, but it's up for grabs as to who will place 2nd or 3rd.
It's a big year, as I mentioned. We've got Dive Canada in Victoria, the Summer Nationals, followed by the Commonwealth Games, and then the World Championships in Rome. But it all begins here at the Winter Nationals in Quebec City.
It's a chance to deal with some pressure and deal with what you're capable of, and trying to bring that about and bring that to reality, make it happen, dive well, and reach a personal best if you can.
For me, it's a very important year because I'm working on new dives. So it's gonna, I will be able to see where I am now in my evolution of those new dives. And it's gonna be important too to see on which technical point I have to work on.
Lets me know where I'm at with everybody else. And just tells me basically how well I've trained so far, and also it tells me for the future what I have to do, in terms of my training schedule and in terms of maybe honing some competition skills as well.
I've been training really hard since September for the Commonwealth Games and the World Championships, and this is a good sort of starting point of the year for competition, and it sort of tells me how much work I'm going to have to do before Commonwealth.
Paige Gordon is competing in this event, the women's 10-meter, and the leader going into the 7th round is Myriam Boileau, a 16-year-old from Montreal who was 4th at the World Junior Championships last year. And one of the reasons, Janet, she's leading the competition, this dive in the 5th round.
Yes, this back 1.5 with 2 1/2 twist. She did an absolutely spectacular job on the dive. Her diving has come a long way in the past year. You can see a great performance and a rip entry on the bottom. Spectacular.
And that earned her 7.5 from all 7 judges at poolside. Now to the 7th round.
And Steve, this is a much more difficult dive. The back 2 1/2 somersault in the pike position, the DD being 2.9. Now this is what we consider a blind dive. The diver jumps off backwards, rotates backwards, and then must commit to the entry before they actually see the water. So their timing has to be dead on.
Remember, she's diving from about 3 stories up.
An incredible Incredible dive. What great form. And a rip entry on the bottom. Look at Michel Larouche, her coach. He's very excited. We're going to see some fabulous scores on that dive.
9, 7.5 et 8.5.
A very strong jump here. Look at the position in the air. She gets into her pike very quickly. Her head is almost on her knees, near perfect position, and she's out at the 5-meter level and goes straight in the water. Again, a great top here on the dive. Excellent position. And look at the come out. She can see the water and just stretch for it to get almost a no splash entry.
Remember, the top score in diving is a 10. Look, there's a 9, 2 8.5s, 1 8, and 3 7.5s. We're looking now at B.A. McPherson from Campbellville, Ontario, a 20-year-old who now trains in Victoria, BC.
And Steve, she moved there this fall with the opening of the new Commonwealth Games pool. Now this dive is the reverse 2 1/2 somersault in the tuck position. It's a good dive. However, she didn't finish the dive as high above the water as she needed to get the 8s and 9s. She'll receive very good scores, but she needs just to class it up a little bit more. A strong jump here, but she needs to explode a little more, get into a tighter tuck, and then have more control on the bottom.
And that loss of control on the bottom will affect her marks. 1 5.5, 1 6, 1 6.5, 4 7s for a total of 54.27. And now getting set for her dive in the 7th round, 19-year-old Anne Momini, the defending champion in this event. Paige Gordon is the defending summer champion. Anne Momini, the defending winter champion.
And this dive, the back 2 1/2 somersault in the pike position, the DD 2.9. Oh, no, that's a total miss. She was way long, way past that perfect vertical entry. You'll see on the takeoff when the replay comes back that she got up, started her position, and she went very quickly. She almost didn't take enough time to think about what she was doing. Her pike position there is not great, and when she comes out, I think she thinks she was in more trouble than she actually was and pulled the dive way long.
And pulling it way long has cost her 3 5s, 4 5.5s for a total of 46.11. Sitting in 4th place, coming into the 7th round, 20-year-old Paige Gordon of West Vancouver, BC. She's a 4-time Canadian champion on tower, and this was her dive in the 6th round.
Yes, and Steve, this is a brand new dive in her list, and she was putting it into this competition just to see how it actually goes, and it was not a great dive. She was very long on the entry. She just wasn't quite in control.
The key for Paige, and she certainly got the experience, is to now erase the memory of that poor dive.
And that's very important. A diver of this caliber must be able to do that, to carry on, to gain ground, to come back in their position in the competition. Now this is a back 2 1/2 somersault in the pike position, another blind dive. An excellent dive. She had a great pike position in the air. She came out, went into the water very cleanly, almost dead on, perfect vertical.
8.5, 7.5, 7.5 et 8.
The takeoff here is great. Look at the position. Her head is right on her knees. She has lots of room to line up, and that entry is spectacular.
All that vast international experience paying off for Paige Gordon. 1 7, 3 7.5s, and 2 8s, and 1 8.5 for a total of 66.99 for Paige Gordon. So with the 8th and final round in the women's 10 meters still to come, Boileau leads Momini by 42 points. Gordon is a distant 3rd. The final dive now for Myriam Boileau. It must do wonders for the confidence knowing you've got such a huge lead with one dive separating you from a national title, Janet.
It certainly does. This diver has shown how great she can be in this competition. She's been coming along very strong over the last couple of years, but she really has her act together here. And this is a reverse 2 1/2 somersault in the tuck position. But she left the dive short of the vertical entry. She needs more explosion off the top. Also, when we check the replay, you'll see that her feet are flat in the tuck position, and the judges will notice that and take off a few marks. You need to have pointed toes throughout the entire dive. The jump here has good distance away from the board, but it needs to be a little stronger. See the flat feet right there? The judges will take scores off, and when she comes out, she needs to work the entry a little bit more to get into the perfect vertical.
The scores for the 16-year-old, 1-5, 1-5.5, 2 6s, 3 6.5s, for a total of 49.41. B.A. McPherson needs 6s on the dive to move into second place. She cannot catch the leader, Myriam Boileau.
And this is the back 1 1/2 somersault with 2 1/2 twists. This dive, Steve, normally is an excellent dive for BA. That's why she puts it right at the end of her list. She always counts on it. A good dive. It was almost in straight up and down, but you'll notice when we go back and look at the replay, Steve, that she lost her legs. They were slipping around in the twist. The judges deduct for that error. A strong, smooth takeoff at the start, but what she may have done is dropped one shoulder a little earlier getting into the twist, and that puts your body off, and you can see her legs moving.
Consistent scoring from the judges, 5 7s, 2 7.5s, 59.64 for B.A. McPherson. Anne Momini, a second-year health sciences student at John Abbott College, and there may be a reason why she's not been diving so well, Janet. Food poisoning.
That's right. She went out last night for a team dinner and was up all night long sick. I'm amazed she's even on the tower. An incredible final dive. You would never know this girl was sick. She has put in such a great effort today. She's probably not pleased with the outcome, but considering the circumstances, she's, doing very well. A good solid dive here. Good twisting action. Very tight in the legs and toes and right in on the bottom. Maybe a bit too splashy for Anne.
The scores for Anne Momini, 1 6.5, 4 7s, 2 7.5s, for a total of 59.64. And now Paige Gordon, who needs 8.5s to finish second and move ahead of Momini.
And this is the back 1 1/2 somersault with 3 1/2 twists. Her most difficult dive, the DD 3.2. An excellent final dive. She had a solid twisting action in the air. It went straight in. You can see the scores of the judges that they do like the dive. It is a very difficult dive to perform. The takeoff here is great. She's strong. She's moving well. And lots of times to line up for that entry.
She needed 8.5s to finish second. She gets 1 6.5, 4 7s, and 2 7.5s, for a total of 68.16. A well-deserved shoulder massage for the new champion on the women's tower, Myriam Boileau. Coach and diver, all smiles. And why not? Boileau, the class of this field, by a whopping 31 points. The defending champion is second. Paige Gordon is third. Coming up, Jeff Bacon will try to do what Momini couldn't, defend the tower title in Utrecht's Canadian Diving Championship. This is the final dive for 20-year-old Annie Pelletier on the 1 meter.
And Steve, she has been putting together a terrific 1 meter list. She's such a classy diver, and this final dive, the back 1 1/2 somersault with 1 1/2 twists, is normally an excellent dive for her. A very good dive, nice motion in the air. The entry just moved a little bit past the vertical, but a very classy dive.
And Janet, the judges agreed with your classy assessment. The marks for Annie Pelletier, 5 6.5s, 2 7s, and that was good enough to give Pelletier her third title on 1 meter. She finishes 10 points up on Erin Bulmer, with Anne-Josée Dion winding up third. But the story on 1 meter was Annie Pelletier. Now we move to the final dive for Chris Lapoule on the men's 1 meter. The 22-year-old student at the University of Calgary has been diving well, but this is a tough one, Janet.
This certainly is. This is the toughest dive that we'll see in this competition, the inward 2 1/2 somersault in the pike position. A lot of men use this dive on 3 meter. He's performing it off the low 1 meter board. A great final dive. He has so much height, an explosion off the board, and it went straight in.
The judges liked it 1-8, 1-7.5, 5-7s for a total of 72.42. That dive carried a DB of 3.4. Good marks, great total, and that gives Lepoule his second national title on 1 meter. Lee J. Streifler is second. Philippe Comtois winds up third. Now, all eyes shift to the tower on the men's 10-meter event, where the leader after 9 of 10 rounds is the defending champion, Jeff Bacon. And he is in that position because of diving like this, Janet, in the 8th round.
Yes, this is the inward 3 1/2 somersault in the tucked position. A difficult dive. You have to jump solid and spin really quickly, just inches away from the tower, and then go into the water. And he did a great job here. An excellent dive throughout, a nice clean entry.
That dive putting 78.72 in the bank for Bacon, running his total of 4.54 with 1 dive remaining. Fernando Henderson is second. Frederic St-Pierre is sitting in 3rd position. Now the final dive for St-Pierre. He needs 7s for first place temporarily.
And Steve, this diver has only been diving 3 years. That's an amazing feat to be getting to this position so quickly. He loves to compete, and he's an extremely focused person. A great skill set. That was a miss, though. It was not a good start on the dive. He jumped out a little bit too far, and he just lost his concentration partway through.
A little bit of that inexperience coming through.
We can see here he's not moving well. He comes out miles too early, almost at the double somersault, and he just can't make it.
And the scores for St-Pierre, 5 4s, 2 4.5s for a total of 33.21. Looking now at Tony Brevet, a 20-year-old from BC.
And this is a new dive he's performing, but in the prelims he went way past the vertical. It was a very bad entry on the bottom. Oh, Steve, that really hurts. He came out at the triple somersault. He was anticipating. He was nervous about the dive. He remembers what happened in the prelims, and he just came out way too early. He's spinning well here, but look where he kicks out at the water. He never puts his head back, so he takes it all as a big slap on his back. Look at the bruises we can see coming already. That really hurt.
The top mark, 1.5. Now, the leader in the competition, who may be feeling a little heat as defending champion.
For some unknown reason, I put pressure on myself, and I felt that, you know, everybody's looking at me now and saying, oh, here's the big guy, you gotta catch him. So it's kind of weird. I've never had that experience before. I think, though, through my practices and stuff, that, you know, my skill level has gone up this year, and I'm feeling very comfortable with my diving.
And he certainly looked comfortable with his diving in Quebec City. Jeff Bacon, a 23-year-old student at Langara College in Vancouver.
And this is the back 1 1/2 somersault with 3 1/2 twists, the DD 3.2. This week he told me that he was trying to build his confidence level, be more in control in the competition, not let the nerves get to him. So let's see how he does on this final dive. A very good job on the dive. It was a little bit too much splash on the entry, but it was going in perfectly up on in the vertical. Here's Bashi Liang. He's pleased with the job. A strong takeoff into a good twisting action. It's moving very smoothly, but as he lines up, he's casting just a bit, and that brings up a little bit of splash.
The scores from the 7 judges of poolside, 4 6.5s, 3 7s for a total of 64.32. The final dive now for 27-year-old Fernando Henderson, who represents the Nepean Club in Ottawa, and he's diving for 2nd place.
And this is the arm stem double somersault in the pike position. And he actually dives for the Dominican Republic. He's a citizen of the country. He trains here and has been up here for the last 3 years. A good dive, a nice clean entry on the bottom. It's not a very difficult dive to finish your list with, but he will receive some good scores.
Don't think he quite held that handstand long enough. He didn't seem to be set.
No, he's wobbling in the handstand. The judges need to see a good hold for at least 3 seconds. But the rest of the dive was well performed.
And the scores for Henderson, 1 4.5, 3 5.5s, and 3 6s for a total of 41.04. Bashi Liang still smiling and obviously pleased with the effort of Jeff Bacon in winning the men's tower. Bacon finishes 36 points in front of Henderson. Frederic St-Pierre a distant 3rd. Now, let's go down to poolside and join Janet with the winner.
Jeff, your second national title, how did it feel this time?
It felt pretty good. It actually felt better as I went along. I came out a bit flat today. My body's been a bit sore from some injuries I've been kind of fighting with, but I picked it up, so it felt not bad in the end.
Going into your last dive, was there anything that you were trying to do, just put it in, or did you feel like you needed a lot of points, or just do a good dive?
I just basically concentrated on doing good dive. Ended up being a little bit less than what I had hoped for, but, you know, in the end, it all came out good.
Just ahead, BC's Paige Gordon, third on the tower, will try for a better showing on the 3-meter springboard from beautiful Quebec City.
Next Saturday.
Diving is a complicated sport, and it takes years of experience and sharp eyes to sometimes tell the difference between a good dive and a bad dive. Janet?
The people that sit in these chairs have a really tough job. They're the judges. When you're watching diving at home, you may wonder how they can evaluate a complicated dive in what seems like a mere split second. Let's take a closer look now at one dive and see what they're really looking for. This forward 2 1/2 pike is a relatively simple optional dive. The diver shows us a good dive, one that should score between 6.5 and 7s. Our next diver performs a near perfect version of the same dive. Scores will range between the high 8 1/2 and 9 1/2. Here's what the rule book says. A judge should only consider the technique and grace of the takeoff, the flight in the air, and the entry position into the water. It's also really important, though, that a judge knows the technical aspects of diving, as well as being able to appreciate the beauty and the aesthetic qualities of the dives. Our split screen shows good dive left and excellent dive right. Here's why. A stronger jump into a much tighter pike position for the diver on the right. Her head is touching her knees. This enables the diver to spin faster and thus complete the 2 1/2 rotations much higher. See here, diver right completes the dive above board level, allowing for a good look to find her perfect entry position, while diver left is finishing the dive below the board and going a little past vertical. The judges combine all these factors, including the beauty and grace of the dive, to determine their score.
And speaking of good dives, Janet, we should see some great diving in the women's 3-meter, but not from one of the favorites in the event, Montreal's Annie Pelletier. The former champion failed to qualify for the final round, and this is why.
Steve, she's performing 3 new dives in her list, and this, the forward 3 1/2 somersault in the pike position, is her most difficult dive. She's one of 2 or 3 women in the world using this dive right now, and she had a bad takeoff. She tried hard, but just not enough room. So a combination of factors in that, she missed the finals.
So Annie will have some extra time to think about what went wrong.
I think I didn't focus on the good thing. Of course, I wanted to put my dives on my head. And before this, I should have think more about my technique. And that's what I was missing. And also I was very nervous. I felt pressure. I should have more focus, more on my technique than try to impress the people, to show them that I could do those dives in competition, not only in practice, but also in competitions.
So with Annie Pelletier in the stands, Paige Gordon is the leader after 8 rounds, and José Dion leads Mary DiPiero by 10 points in the battle for second place. This is 16-year-old Myriam Boileau of Montreal.
And her dive is the inward 2 1/2 somersault in the tuck position. The DD on this is 2.7. A great dive. It was smooth, good tight tuck position, and a great lineup for the entry into the water. Very, very smooth and in control. She's a very strong diver, very strong legs. She explodes off the board, excellent positioning, and right in on the entry.
The scores for Boileau, who won the 10-meter title, 2 6.5s and 5 7s for a 55.89 total. This is 18-year-old Anne José Dion, currently in second place.
And her dive is also the inward 2 1/2 somersault in the tuck position. This will be a great judging comparison here. Two divers doing the same dive back to back. An excellent dive. It went just a hair past the perfect vertical entry, but she had a lot of explosion off the board. She looked tight and in control also. A very dynamic diver. She pops off the board. She looks like she knows exactly what she's doing. A great entry. Just let it go by on that perfect vertical entry.
Good scores for Anne Jose. 1-7, 5-7.5, and 1-8 for a total of 60.75. And now 25-year-old Mary DiPiero from Thunder Bay, 5-time winner of this event, a great competitor.
And she will be performing the back 1 1/2 somersault with 2 1/2 twists. And she had trouble on that dive right off the start. She controlled it fairly well for the takeoff that she did. She leaned back and a shoulder went a little bit cockeyed right at the start. So that's why we saw a few wobbles in the middle. Let's take a look again, Steve. You can see here she's moving back and she drops her shoulder there. So she's out of alignment, has to struggle the whole way. She struggles well and puts it down, but the judges will deduct some scores.
They did. 1-6, 5 6.5, and 1-7 for Mary DiPiero, 54.60. There's the leader, Paige Gordon, who knows what it takes to win.
I think in order to compete with the best in the world, you have to be very strong. You have to be able to finish your dives very high in the air, and you have to have the power to get up and do the really difficult dives. I worked really hard this year, and I've noticed a big improvement in my strength, and hopefully by August, things will look even better.
And Gordon was looking great with this dive in the 8th round.
The reverse 2 1/2 somersault in the pike position, a very difficult dive, and she showed us that she knows how to perform this dive. It was absolutely incredible. A near perfect dive.
3 8.5s, 3 8s, and 1 7.5. Now, Gordon's dive in the 9th round.
And this is the inward 2 1/2 somersault in the pike position. She shows great concentration here. It moved well. Her head was underneath in the pike. It was smooth, went straight in on the bottom. If I have any criticism at all, I think her toes might have flattened just a little bit as she entered the water. But other than that, it was spectacular. We look at the replay here. If we remember back to the feature where I said it's very important to have your head on your knees so you can spin quickly, she shows us perfect form. Again, a look, and spectacular takeoff here. She's moving well. And her toes may flatten a little bit on the bottom, but it was great.
3 7s, 1 7.5, and 3 8s for a total of 67.50. So with one dive remaining, Gordon has a lock on a third title. Dion is a solid second, and DiPiero trails by 15 points in third. This is Myriam Boileau.
Her dive is the back 1 1/2 somersault with 1 1/2 twist, the DD 2.4. This is a relatively simple dive, but we must remember she's only 16 years old. A very good dive. It was smooth, it was controlled, it moved back from the board a little bit and wobbled a little bit on the entry, but a very solid final dive. A strong takeoff here, but you can see she is moving back, and as she lines up, she does have a bit of movement going into the water.
The scores for Myriam, 2 6.5s and 5 7s for a total of 49.68. And now the final dive for Anne Jose Dion.
This is the back 1 1/2 somersault with 2 1/2 twist, DD 2.8. Anne Jose always counts on this dive. She's a very solid, strong twister, and she knows she can put this one in when she needs it. It's a good dive, but she was really scrambling on the bottom. I think when we look at the replay, we'll be able to see that she had trouble in the takeoff, so just didn't have enough room in the air to complete the dive for a great strong lineup. On the takeoff here, she's not quite as strong and poppy as she normally is, so she's finishing the dive low and has trouble on the bottom.
And now Dion can only hope that those marks will be enough to keep her in second place. Final dive for Mary DiPiero. Needs 7.5 to beat Anne Jose in the battle for second.
And this is the inward 2 1/2 somersault in the pike position. High DD of 3.0. It's a good dive, however, she finished low to the water. If she wants to score 8s and above, she has to have the somersault finished closer to board level, so it looks like it has a long drop on the bottom. Here we can see a very good pike position. Her head is also right on her knees, but she's just doesn't have enough room to get a good entry on the bottom.
The scores for Mary DiPiero: 1-6, 4 6.5, and 2 7s for a total of 59.40. That will not be enough to move Mary into second position. This is the leader, Paige Gordon, who would almost have to miss the dive completely not to win the 3-meter title.
And this dive is the back 1 1/2 somersault with 2 1/2 twists. It's normally a great final dive. I guess, Steve, we can look at here. She has almost no pressure going into this dive. Let's see how well she can perform it without that pressure. It's an incredible dive. It was great on the start, and it went straight in the water. I know we'll see high scores here.
8.5, 8 et 7.5. Celle-ci termine l'épreuve.
A good solid takeoff, and her twisting action is so quick. She gets right into it, twists well, her legs and toes are together, and she has lots of room for a lineup, controls the bottom, takes the splash down with her.
The scores for Paige: 1 7.5, 3 8s, and 3 8.5 for a total of 68.88. And check the total for Paige Gordon: 540.24, 64 better than second place. Now, let's go to Janet again on the pool deck.
Paige, an incredible performance this afternoon. Another Canadian championship under your belt. How does it feel?
Well, it's good because at least now I have a base to work on. I've been working very hard this year because it's Commonwealth Games and World Championships coming up in a couple months. And now I sort of know where I stand, and I know that I can build on this, and it feels really nice.
Your diving just flowed today. Is there anything that you were specifically looking at during the competition or thinking about that made it all come together?
Well, I tried to dive sort of a competition within myself and not think about anybody else. I sort of excluded myself from everybody else and just went out and dove my own event, and I think it really worked well.
It worked for Paige. Maybe it can work for David Bedard in the men's 3-meter. Yes, that's the one they called Flower Power, Guy Lafleur, who did his share of bouncing off boards with a pair of skates on for the Habs and Nordique. Still a legend in this part of the world, and still a hero to one of Canada's best divers, David Bedard. We know Bedard can dive. Can he handle asking the questions?
Hello, I'm standing here with the almighty Guy Lafleur. Guy, how are you?
Very good, thanks.
Excellent. Now that you've had a chance to see some diving, what do you think? Do you think diving's a lot tougher than hockey?
I think it's different, first of all, and it's more gracious in hockey, and the athletes needs a lot of concentration to perform well. So I like it very much. It's a nice sport.
Excellent. I understand from talking to you earlier that you do some backyard diving. Is that true?
Yes, I did a few in the past, and I used to do the 1.5, but that's about it. My career stopped there.
Well, that's excellent. Seriously, though, Guy, what's your involvement with Titrex?
Well, Titrex International, I'm the Vice President of Public Relations, and I'm traveling a lot across Canada and try to explain to the people what kind of product we sell and what's the use of it.
I understand there was a big announcement about Titrex and their involvement with Canadian amateur diving. Can you explain that to us for me, please?
A couple of days ago, we just announced a 3-year contract as a sponsorship. The value is $300,000 for 3 years. Plus, we installed a fundraising program where they're going to be able to get more money eventually. So we're very happy about it and very honored to be associated with the Diving Club Association.
Well, we appreciate it a great deal as well. But getting back to sports, with my particular build, I know I'm a little short, but do you think I'd make an all right right winger?
Oh, I think so, yes. And with a few practice, no problem.
I got the concentration, I just have to get the power. Thanks very much, Guy.
Thank you.
7.5 and 8 for Bedard's interview technique. He's racking up the same scores for his diving. A 33-point margin over Bill Hayes, 36 in front of Lee J. Streifler with 2 rounds to go. And this is Lee J. Streifler, who now trains in Victoria.
And his dive is the back 2 1/2 somersault in the pike position, DD 3.0. He's been having a little bit of difficulty throughout this final round. Let's see how we can handle this dive. Oh, that's a total miss. He held on to the pike way long, so when he comes out, there's nothing he can do. He has to go past vertical. A big mistake here. He says this is the dive he dislikes most. Well, I can see why. He just came out too late. He was worried about it and wasn't showing the confidence that he needs.
Scores for Lee J. Streifler, 1-3, 2 4s, and 3 4.5s, and 1-5 for a total of 38.70. This is 18-year-old Philippe Comtois, Montreal.
And this is the reverse 2 1/2 somersault in the pike position, DD 3.0. It's one of his tougher dives. He's been diving, Steve, for 11 years. A great dive. It was high and smooth, and he had lots of room when he came out of the pike to drop in for a very clean and straight up and down entry. Good strong hurdle. Look how high he is off the board. He has a fairly good pike position and a nice lineup on the bottom.
And the judges like that one, 6 8s and 1 8.5 for Comtois for a total of 72 points. Looking now at 26-year-old, the University of Michigan grad, Bill Hayes, currently in 2nd place.
And Steve, if we go back to the 9th round, he did an absolutely amazing back 2 1/2 somersault and received 8.5 and 9s. He's diving extremely well. He's been concentrating on the springboards only, and it shows here with a dive like that with a total rip entry.
He's the 1993 Winter National Champion on 10 meter, but he is only diving 3 meter from now on.
And this is the inward 2 1/2 somersault in the pike position, the DD 3.0. It's important on the takeoff here that he stays right over the board. He has to jump high so that when his feet spin past the board, they clear it. Oh, Steve, he's fallen off the board. You just never see something like that happening in a competition like that. I don't know what happened.
His coach can't believe it either. That was a slip for Bill Hayes. That will go into the books as no dive.
Look, right there. He's taking off. He doesn't do a crow hop, which is a technique where you double bounce and sometimes you fall off. He just slipped.
No marks for Bill Hayes. He's okay. He's trying to shake it off by doing a little jogging on the pool deck. We know he'll be back. This is 22-year-old Chris LaPoule, a third-year social sciences student at the University of Calgary.
And this is the inward 3 1/2 somersault in the tuck position. Now, he has to totally blank out of his mind what he just saw Bill do coming off the board. This is a very difficult dive, DD 3.4. A good dive. He did leave it a hair short of the vertical entry position, but it looked nice in the air. It's a really tough dive. You need a lot of power coming off. You need explosive action into your tuck. He just didn't quite have enough room, but he did a fairly good job.
And the scores for Chris LaPoule, 4 6.5s, 2 7s, 1 7.5 for a total of 68.34. This is 22-year-old Jason Napper of Thunder Bay.
And his dive is the forward 2 1/2 somersault with 1 twist, DD 2.8. That was a very good dive. It looked on the takeoff like he missed the board a little bit. He pounded it, so it's very difficult to get back up, but he did an excellent job. We'll see here that he's just a little out of sync when he comes off the board, but he muscled it around. He gets a somersault going, good twist action, and straight in on the bottom.
A very strong diver, and he showed us why. He gets 2 7s, 3 7.5s, and 2 8s for a total of 63.
David.
28-year-old David Bedard from Pointe Claire, 12-time national champion on 3 meter.
And this is the reverse 1.5 somersault with 3 1/2 twists. Very difficult. Absolutely spectacular. A great takeoff, good twisting action, and straight in on the bottom. He had incredible confidence. He's talking to his coach, Don Webb. A great takeoff. He's right up over the board. Perfect action here. Finished at board level. Lots of room for a clean entry.
Isn't that the mark of a great champion? They make the tough dives look so easy. 4 7.5s, 2 8s, and 1 8.5 for a total of 76.23. One more round to come in the men's 3 meter. Stay with us.
Next Saturday.
With one dive to come in the men's 3 meter, David Bedard has a lock on yet another title. Jason Napper has taken over second place with Chris Lapoule in third. This is Lee J. Streifler, who played football at 185 pounds with 28-inch thighs. He now dives at 172 with 24-inch thighs. Just rearrange the weight a little bit differently.
And he'll need strong legs to do this dive, the reverse 1.5 and 3 1/2 twists. It was a good dive. He worked the twist well, but he needs to be up higher to get the long drop into the entry that the judges like to see for the very high scores. He's rushing the board here a little bit, so he's just not in time, and it's not finished as high and as cleanly as he needs to be.
The scores for Lee J. Streifler, 1 6.5, 5 7s, 1 7.5 for a total of 69.30. This is Philippe Comtois, who needs 8.5s to move into first place for the time being.
And this is the inward 2 1/2 somersault in the pike position. That's an excellent dive. He came out high above the board. You could see him actually looking for the water so he could get that perfect vertical entry. It was tremendous. A good takeoff here. Look how high he is in the great pike position. There you can see him looking, and he goes straight in the water.
And the scores for Comtois, 2 7.5s, 4 8s, 1 8.5 for a total of 71.10. Goes to second with those marks and that total. And now Bill Hayes out of medal contention with a slip and no dive in the 10th round. I wonder if he's got that in the back of his mind.
I'm sure he must be feeling a little rattled at this point. Let's see if he can get it together with this reverse 2 1/2 in the pike position. He needs a good takeoff. No, he totally missed it. He actually missed it on the takeoff. He was doing what we call hanging 10. His feet were over the board, so he was just leaning forward throughout the entire dive. There's not enough room to complete it. You see here he's rushing, and he is overhanging the board a little bit. He's trying his best to work that pike, but there's just not enough room, Steve.
So a no dive for Bill Hayes, followed by 5 4s, 2 4.5s for a total of 36.90. He is not a happy camper. This is Chris Lapoule of Calgary in third place, needs 8s for second.
And this is the forward 3 1/2 somersault in the pike position. Dive. It was high, smooth, a great pike position, and straight in. Steve, he may get those 8s. I certainly would give it an 8. It was fabulous. Look at the strength here in the hurdle. He's way up over the board. Good pike position. He's out at board level, and a nice lineup.
Okay, let's see if the judges agree with you. 2 7.5s, 3 8s, and 2 8.5s for a total of 74.40 for Chris Lapoule. Now, Jason Napper, he needs 7s to move into first.
And this is the forward 1 1/2 somersault with 3 twists. Normally, Steve, this is a great dive for him. He saves it to the end, and he is very strong in the takeoff. Excellent! A great takeoff. Near perfect position in the air. His feet moved just a little bit on the bottom in the entry, but other than that, it was great. He looks happy. Look how high he is in the air and how good the action is, out at board level and a lineup. But you can see right at the bottom, his feet did move.
And Napper knows that he nailed 3 9s, 4 8.5s for a total of 75.69. Now, David Bedard, all he needs for the title, 2 1/2s.
And this is the back 1 1/2 somersault with 3 1/2 twists. This is a lot of dive. He's got to have explosive start, good twisting action, and right in. Excellent! That is near perfect. Good distance away from the board. It went straight in. What another great performance from David.
Was there a doubt?
I don't think so. A good takeoff. Look at the position in the air. It's perfect. What can I say?
1 7.5, 6 8s, 76.80. 13th title on 3 meter for Bedard, who has 3 silver Commonwealth medals in the bank, but no gold. That should change in Victoria. David Bedard, a member of Canada's national team since 1983, and the way he's diving, his brightest moment, certainly in the Commonwealth Games, maybe just around the corner.
I think if everything keeps going and rolling along the way it has up until this point, I don't think there would be anyone to stop me, because I think I'm right on top of the game. I'm peaking well, and I just think that I'm just going to get that much better.
He's tops in this country, 54 better than Jason Napper, 70 in front of Chris Lapoule. Comtois comes on in the late rounds to take 4th. The Titrex Winter Nationals here in Quebec City went pretty much the way we thought they would. It was a chance for Canada's best to compete against their teammates, to see how they stack up. But it'll be a different story at Dive Canada in Victoria.
It certainly will, Steve. We have the world's top divers attending this competition. It will be one of the best this year. 14 nations are attending, including our own great Canadian divers. The top U.S. divers, Chinese, and we have some countries from Europe, led by the strong German and Italian teams.
And we also have a couple of nations from the Pacific Rim.
New Zealand and Australia will be in attendance, and they're key because those are the divers that our Canadians must beat to get gold at the Commonwealth Games.
I've had a chance to see that magnificent new facility in Victoria, Janet. I think you're going to love it.
I can hardly wait to be there.
Next Saturday on CBC Sports, the World Short Track Speed Skating Competition. We'll have that coming your way at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. The next stop on the diving tour for Janet Nutter and myself will be Dive Canada in Victoria, and we'll have that for you on May 14th at 3:30 Eastern Time. And now for Janet Nutter, I'm Steve Armitage. So long from the Titrex Winter Nationals in Quebec City.